Just getting back to the connection between you and Nathan, when you're in the band now, when you're producing music, I thought Primordial Arcana, by the way, was probably, in my view, the most beautifully complete Wolves on the Throne record that you guys have put out. I adored it. But what is it that between the two of you guys, what makes you so productive, and what makes the relationship work at a creative level, at a level that benefits the band?
Because we're so different, and we really do approach art from very different vantage points, like almost different fucking realities. There's a tension that's created, and it's somewhere in reconciling that tension that a good record can be made. Sometimes that tension has gotten to the point when it's like untenable. Like there's been times when we've not gotten along very well.
Yeah.
Especially when it was just the two of us. Like after, in Wolves on the Throne, there's been 3 other guitar players. Will Dawn played on Diadem and Two Hunters, and then, not Will Dawn, Rick Dawn played on Diadem and Two Hunters, and then Will Lindsay played on Black Cascade. And then on Celestial Lineage, it was just me and Nathan. And then on Thrice Woven, Cody just started to kind of come in at the very end. And with Primordial Arcana, like Cody is fully in there. He's like fully in the cult. And that makes things a lot more stable. When it's just the two of us, it can get pretty fiery. But whatever, the triangle is a very stable shape. And that works in a creative context as well for us.
Now, what is it about Cody because that's a tight-knit bond to have to penetrate. Right?
Yeah.
And I would imagine, just reading between the lines, I've heard you talk about this on other interviews too, it would take an extraordinarily special person to get into that place.
Yeah, he's the only guy that could do it.
So what is it about Cody? What made him able to do that?
Well, I think it's like fate. I think it's magic. I think it's like love. I think it's like it's just like the correct path in life. The right people come to you at the right time to be with you in life. But, to quantify it a bit, like he comes from the same background. Like, when he was 15, he was hopping trains barefoot, listening to black metal with a bullet belt, And so we have like a similar cultural background. We love the same kind of music. And we have the same approach to nature, I suppose. In that all of us are able to allow the spirits of nature to speak to us, transmute it inside of our bodies, and then broadcast it back as music. So we have similar approaches in a way that's very cohesive. And I think in any good working group, everyone has strengths. And so we all hear different things. Like when we listen to a mix of the new record, each one of us can spot something that could be better. And that's something that I would not have heard. Like Nathan hears stuff that I can't hear and Cody can't hear, and go around the circle. We all have like valid perspective, and we all trust each other to always put the album and the band first. Like, I know that neither of those guys would ever say, my guitar should be louder here, for any reason other than they genuinely believe that's the best thing for Wolves in the Throne Room, and more specifically for this song on the record. So there's like a very deep trust in our ethics and commitment to the art.
What first made you decide to pick up the drums? Because again, I've watched you play on video, and you've got this kind of attacking style of playing, but you really, really seem in your element. And again, it's something that over the course of this podcast, I've become increasingly interested in what draws people to certain instruments, because that instrument is your voice. Some people are natural frontmen, some people are some people are Angus Young, and they just, fucking rip the most insane guitar solo you can imagine. But what was it that drew you to the drums?
That's true. I have thought about that, and I don't know, because I don't play drums really. Like I never practice drums. I don't play them. Like if we go on tour, I'll get in shape and rehearse, or if we're working on a record, I'll play drums, but I'll never do it just for fun or just to practice. You could probably hear that sometimes. And that's similar to Lars. Like that guy doesn't practice. Like he's running the business. Like he's like, whatever, like working out merchandising deals with somebody.
Selling art.
He's selling Basquiat paintings, yes. It's just, I do the drums when it's time to do the drums, but I don't really consider myself a drummer. And why I ended up playing the drums, I have to think about that. Because when I was really young, like 14, 15, I played bass and then switched to drums. Why did I do that? This is interesting. You're gonna watch me go back in time to when I was like maybe 16, because there was no other drummers around. That's why. Like, I think it's kind of like a trope that like it's really hard to find a good drummer. And in our small town, there was, like high school bands are always like that. You have like kind of a metal guy and then a guy who's like kind of like a hip hop dude and then someone like some Christian rock guy, and they all have to kind of be in a band together. And our previous drummer, when we were like, 13 or 14, was kind of like that vibe. And so I think I stepped into the role out of necessity. And I very much like come into it over the years. Like I didn't even really consider myself a musician until like a couple of years ago. Like it just didn't even occur to me that like, oh wait, that's what I'm doing. Like I'm 46, I'm not gonna do anything else. Like I guess that's what I am. It just never really occurred to me.
You're very closely connected to the music though, because you've been involved in the production side of things for a long time now. You also did you redid and did what ultimately is the final mix for Primordial Arcana. By the way, let's just pause there for a second. What made you decide to remix the album?
Well, we wanted to take on like a reasonable challenge. And so for PA, we abbreviate all of our records because it's too long to say or to write in a Google Doc, which is how we organize all our shit. We were like, okay, we don't want to work with another producer. We want to do it ourselves, DIY. It seems like a reasonable challenge to record everything and have it sound good. Like, okay, we can manage the microphones and the file management and that side of it, but there's no way we can mix it. That's just a bridge too far. And so we recorded everything, it sounded cool. We rendered everything, sent it off to a mix engineer, a very highly regarded metal mix guy, producer, who's made records we love. And he had it for a few months, and I got it back, and when I heard it, like my jaw just dropped, I was shattered. Like my jaw just dropped to the ground, and I walked outside just like in a daze, like, oh fuck, what are we gonna do? Because we'd been working on the record for a year, like just like writing and like honing and making it perfect, and just all of the magic had been just sucked out of it. It was just a dry bone. It was like in a troll's, I had the image of a troll just like gnawing on a femur of someone that he'd killed and eaten, and just like threw it. And this dry bone was our record that we'd like poured our like soul into. And there was a moment of like despair, like what are we gonna do? Like we can't try this with another mix engineer. And we realized no one can do it, like we have to do it.